There's a moment, a silent, invisible moment, that defines your position in the social hierarchy. It happens faster than thought. Someone calls you out, accuses you, questions your motives, your integrity, your character, and in that split second you make a decision. Most people don't even realize they're deciding. They react on instinct. They rush to defend themselves. I didn't mean it like that. You misunderstood me. That's not who I am. I swear I'm not like that. It sounds reasonable, fair, human. But to Machiavelli, it is the exact moment you surrender your power. Because the second you defend yourself, you signal something dangerous, that their accusation had enough force to shake you, that their judgment matters, that you are standing in their courtroom, pleading your case. And in power games, perception is reality. They don't see innocence, they see blood. Machiavelli understood this before anyone else, not as morality, but as mechanics. The man who defends himself lowers himself. The man who doesn't forces the world to defend him instead. Let's get something brutally clear. Defending yourself rarely convinces anyone. Almost never. What it does do is shift the balance of power away from you. The moment you justify your actions, you accept their frame. You accept their authority to question you. You accept that you are on trial. And once someone owns the frame, they own the outcome. Even if you are right, you look guilty. Because only the weak rush to explain. The strong let the silence burn. They let the accusation float untouched, unanswered, unacknowledged. Because they know something most people never learn. Whoever speaks first loses control of the narrative. Machiavelli didn't just study politics. He studied human psychology. And he understood one ruthless truth. Power is not what you say. Power is what people believe you could say, but choose not to. Why explaining yourself feels good and destroys you. Most people defend themselves because they want to be understood. They believe that if they just explain clearly enough, clarify long enough, repeat themselves one more time, truth will prevail. That belief comes from emotion, not strategy. You don't want clarity, you want control. Clarity is for therapy. Control is for power. And power does not come from being understood. It comes from being respected, feared, and untouchable. The moment you say, "No, you don't understand," you've already lost. Because now you're reacting. Now you're proving you care. Now you've handed them the steering wheel. And in doing so, you give up the most Machiavellian weapon you possess, mystery. Think about the most powerful people you've ever encountered. Not the loudest, not the most liked. The ones who held silence like a blade. The ones who made you doubt yourself just by looking at you. The ones who, when attacked, never flinched. Machiavelli would tell you, he who explains submits. He who remains silent forces others to fill the blanks. And they always overestimate him. That's the game. When you don't react, something strange happens. They get uncomfortable. They doubt their own words. They search the room for validation and find none. Their power shrinks. Yours expands. Because you've done the one thing emotional people cannot tolerate, you made them talk to themselves. And that's how power flips. You don't fight the accusation. You let it die in the echo of its own weakness. Silence as a social weapon. Picture this. You walk into a room. Someone throws shade, subtle or direct. A jab at your success, your confidence, your past. All eyes turn to you. Everyone waits for your response. And you do nothing. No defense, no joke, no smirk, just calm stillness. In that moment, you become untouchable. Because now the room isn't focused on the accusation, they're focused on you. Why didn't he react? Does he know something we don't? Is he above this? Did that attack just make him stronger? You just flipped the entire social frame. People don't remember what was said. They remember who stayed calm, And silence, when paired with presence, speaks louder than any justification ever could. Machiavelli knew this. Power isn't noise, it's restraint. It's the ability to speak and choosing not to. The coldest move, inversion. Sometimes you don't ignore the accusation, you invert it. Someone calls you manipulative. You smile, slightly. Look past them and say if that's how you see it. No defense, no emotion, no explanation. What happens next? They scramble. Because they weren't looking for truth. They were looking for a reaction. They wanted to see you squirm. Instead, they're left holding their own weapon. Now they feel exposed. Now they feel foolish. Now they look insecure. You took their energy and made them carry it alone. There's a moment when silence becomes unbearable. Not for you. For the person who expected a fight. That's when the tables turn. They thought they were the accuser. Now they look like someone begging for attention. And you? You just became something more powerful than innocent. You became untouchable. Why words are a trap. Machiavelli understood something most people never grasp. Words are not used to clarify truth. They are used to control perception. When someone attacks you, they want you to fight the fog. They want to drown you in explanation. Because the more you explain, the less certain you appear. So instead, let the silence work. What happens? They overplay. They repeat themselves. They escalate. They start looking desperate, emotional, unstable. And without saying a word, you've put them on trial. The crowd isn't listening to the argument anymore. They're watching who's calm and who's unraveling. That is social power, and it doesn't come from being right. It comes from being unshakable. Business, relationships, and the art of not biting. In a business meeting, someone undermines you. I'm not sure that strategy is really thought through. He always has these bold ideas they want you to bite. Most people do. They lean forward, explain, clarify, defend. The room smells fear. The Machiavellian operator does the opposite. He leans back. He waits. And if he speaks, it's not defense, it's redirection. Let's hear your alternative. Now the attacker is exposed. Now they are performing. Now they are being evaluated. Silence from confidence is accusation without words. In relationships, it's even more dangerous. You don't care about me anymore. The average person panics, explains, reassures, defends. And in doing so, they validate the emotional frame. The Machiavellian response? Stillness. Let the accusation echo. Then calmly, that's not how I see it. Nothing more. No justification, no emotional chase. Now the emotional tempo shifts. And whoever controls tempo controls power. The nuclear option. Disappearance. There's a colder tactic. Disappear. No response, no acknowledgement, no block. Just absence. This breaks people because most humans survive on emotional validation. Even conflict. Take that away, and they unravel. They post more. They escalate. They beg for reaction. And with every attempt, they look weaker. You remain still, and that's how you win. Not by proving anything, but by letting them destroy themselves. Turning accusations into weakness. Someone calls you arrogant. Funny how confidence makes people uncomfortable. Someone calls you manipulative. Only people who can't be influenced say that. Someone calls you fake. That's what people say when they stop getting what they want. You don't deny. You reframe. And suddenly, they're defending themselves. That's power judo. Machiavelli called it the turn of the blade. Do not block the sword. Let them fall on it. Reputation. Good versus strong. You don't need a good reputation. You need a strong one. A good reputation expects softness. A strong reputation creates caution. When you never defend yourself, your image becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability creates fear. Fear creates respect. Respect creates power. The final evolution, or eventually, you reach a point where accusations don't land, not because you fight them, but because your presence dissolves them. Your stillness becomes your armor. Your silence becomes your signature. You stop living in defense. You live in definition. You speak only when it shifts power. When you don't speak, it still feels like a move. And that's the final Machiavellian truth. The most dangerous man is not the one who attacks. It is the one who never needs to.